Hello and welcome to the second part of the 24-hour writing challenge. In the last video I have explained the basics of what I'm going to do in this 24-hour writing challenge. But so, just to recap, this is a time tracking challenge, not a write for 24 hours straight type of challenge. So the challenge is over when I have accumulated 24 hours total. The other rule is that if I am doing a lot of writing, I also have to exercise as well. The overall goal is to finish my book during this challenge, and we will see if I will finish the book or if 24 hours will pass first. To recap the first part of this challenge, I have already written for 12 hours, I have managed to write 10,000 words, and I have written the ending. So why am I still here, you ask? Well, because the book is not done. I have hinted at this in the previous video, but now is the time to explain what exactly happened there. In 2023, I wanted to update my old computer from Windows 7 to Windows 10, and I thought I had everything from my book backed up and basically everything saved in the correct folders. I was wrong. While I have all of my art, photos and those sort of files, the book wasn't saved in the non-permanent files and it was somewhere else. So it got completely deleted. But I had the entirety of Act 1 saved on Google Docs because I was sending it to people, so I at least managed to recover Act 1. The issue is with Act 2, where about 12 chapters got completely deleted. Well, not completely, I have a little bit of snippets here and there, but it doesn't pull together. So I have lost maybe 20,000 words in there. And this is also the reason why it took me 3 years to finish this first draft. Because after this happened, I was pretty distraught for a long while and haven't managed to start writing for at least 6 months. And then after that I had another 6 months in which I was writing maybe 1 or 2 times per month and not much more, and it took me very long time to actually get going. And so I started truly writing in August of last year. So here you can see the entirety of Act 2, and as you can see I got to about chapter 21 by the time this happened. And so all of these are the ones that got deleted. The pink ones are the ones that are completely deleted, and the purple ones, so 16, 17, 18 and 19, have some sort of snippets in them. Some are longer than the others, but they don't quite connect. They're like missing scenes, and it's just a mess. So like this is chapter 13 with about 80 words in it. 14 has absolutely nothing, such as 15. 16 looks long, but there is a beginning missing. This is a small chunk. This one is long as well, but again, something doesn't connect somewhere. This one, again, just a little bit, and these two, again, completely missing. I'm hoping that explained it clearly. And so, what am I doing now? I am going to try and Frankenstein this thing together and fill it out, at least to the point where it makes sense. I do not want to rewrite absolutely everything. I just want it to be stitched in a way where people can follow along what is going on in there. Because currently, it's like something happens, then nothing, and then chunks of something that again do not connect to anything. And then it finally picks up from somewhere and the whole context is missing. So yes, I want to write about another 10,000 words, not the full 20, to kind of stitch it together, because to be fair, a lot of these chapters were me figuring out how to get from point A to point B and getting very much off the course and just writing whatever. Sort of a filler, but I don't know if I can call it that. So the first task is to figure out what I actually have, and then the second part is make an outline basically just for this part to stitch it all together so it makes sense all together. So that will be my task for today. Hopefully I can get it done somewhat fast, but we shall see. And I'm not going to fully count it into the 12 hours because this is planning and then outlining, not actual drafting. So I will actually start the timer again when I have the plan ready and I can get back to actual writing and drafting. I hope I didn't miss explaining anything else and that everything makes sense now. And so now I'm going to do just that and see you at hour 13, I hope. Hello, I am currently on a walk with the dogs trying to outrun the storm. There is quite a bit of thundering already, but so far no rain. Hopefully it can stay that way for at least another 10 minutes. Or not. First drop landed on me. Anyway, I got maybe hour and a half of work done. Well, let's be real, it was more like 40 minutes of actual work and the rest was chatting with people and getting distracted. But I have reread the last chapter of Act 1, all of the chapters that are basically missing, and the first chapter of what I actually have where it picks up. And the good news is, for the most part, I remember what happened. And there are only a few parts where I have no recollection and absolutely zero idea how I got from point A to point B. But for the most part, it makes sense to me. It wouldn't make sense to an outside reader who has no idea of what's going on. But at least I can piece things together. So that's the good part. The bad part is the writing itself, but it's not kind of the point of this experiment, so ignoring that for now. There are kind of 4 points in what is going on. So the first point is chapter 12, the end of Act 1, where the main character learns that he is a dragon and kind of rejects that. Then there should be chapters where he's waking up and dealing with that realization. Then it jumps to the second point of what actually I still have, and that is this like quest outside with finding the bandits and dealing with them, where the main character tries to summon his dragon abilities and fails spectacularly. And then there is another skip to where the characters are preparing for this big celebration event and setting up everything for it, dealing with the army and stuff. And then there is another jump to what I actually have, which is like the middle of the festival itself. So at least I have somewhat of an outline as is. It can be filled out. Another thing is I found some old notes. So I have a little bit of an outline of what I thought what happened in this deleted part that I have written just after it was deleted. It's very rough and not detailed, but at least it says the most important things. And then I found another document where I have outlined bit by bit the festival itself. And so that will be very helpful because that was a big thing and quite complicated. So pulling that out of memory wouldn't be the greatest, so I'm very happy that I have found at least an outline. And now I should be probably heading back because it started raining and the lightnings are getting quite creepy. I have used the storm to write notes and fully outline what is going to happen in the missing chapters. So far, as I have predicted, it is divided into 3 sequences. Each of them has a different goal and like plot points happening. And I have maybe half a page of writing for each, detailing the beats and what is going to happen, the goals and everything like that, laying it out in a way I can follow. I normally don't do this level of outlining, at least beforehand, but in this case it really needs to happen because I have the in-between points. And so I just need to fill them out and I don't have the space to go off into exploring mode. Honestly, I thought it would take much longer to write those notes and figure out what is going on. But turns out, once I have been diving into it, I have remembered what was happening quite well and could write it down, so it wasn't as difficult or time-consuming, so I'm glad for that. But then I didn't feel like diving straight into the writing because it was late at night, so that was left for today. Which means that this morning I have jumped into writing chapter 13 and I have written maybe 700 words in it. And it's so far slow going because it's quite a bit of mental whiplash to jump from the ending into one of the beginning chapters. For this specific character, the mental space he is in has changed drastically from the beginning until the end. And it's like complete opposite, at least in this one specific aspect that both this chapter 13 delves into and what the epilogue delves into. So the parallels are strong, but I'm not sure if in a good way. It kind of feels like when you have months-long break from writing and then you have to get back to it and reconnect to it again and get back into the habit of actually writing and being in the character's head. Even though I have been writing almost every single day for the past month, it still feels like as if I haven't written for ages, just because jump is so sudden that it's as if jumping into a completely different book. Which makes me a little bit worried about how the draft 2 of this book will go, since I haven't done this ever, and having this small taste of it is already pretty scary. But I am getting ahead of myself again, which I have been doing a lot lately, thinking about the next steps in the process and getting freaked out about them and hyping myself into a writing block and not wanting to progress from where I'm now because I have a little bit of anxiety about the things that are about to come, like the revision, like rereading it, like outlining book 2 or giving the book to beta readers. I am not at the point where I can do any of them, and likely it's still some months away, and yet I am freaking out about it. Which is funny because I had this exact thing happen in like January, February, where I was really hung up on what will readers think about this first draft, even though I was at the beginning of Act 3 and very far away from finishing this book and having it ready for anyone to read. Now I am closer, so it's more reasonable, but still, I am not there. I shouldn't be worrying about this. I am hoping that the more I write in these fill-out sequences, the more I will get back into the mindset of the characters and get more natural into it. But that can be only achieved by actually writing, and so I should get back to it. It's currently 10 p.m, so probably time to do some late-night writing sprints. Hello, it has been a full week since I have done an update or any writing at all. Basically, I got stuck. And I know that last time I said that, I deserved a break between the chapters and that it's fine. This time it's not fine, because I feel like I'm more avoiding the writing than taking a real break. And yes, there are some stressful things going on, but still, that I could be writing. It's just that I don't want to deal with the issue with the writing. And I'm hoping that by some miracle it will solve itself somehow. Quite delusional. So what is going on in here? Well, it has to do with my horse, who had a tendon injury in November that took like 6 months to heal. And so only recently I started really trying to make him work again and build up some muscle. Last Monday it started raining and he slipped on mud and apparently reignited this specific injury again. And so we are not quite back to square one, but we are back to February, I think, in terms of what I'm supposed to do. So I have to again walk him on the roads for like 3 weeks, then see if he's still limping or not, and maybe then start slowly trotting, and maybe after a month some work again. And like, okay, this doesn't sound so bad. It's not this that is the bad, it's the accumulation of all the issues that are going on with his legs, and the vet casually dropping on me that if I fully retired him, as some people are suggesting me I do, and put him to a pasture to kind of just graze and live out his life, he would go rapidly downhill and wouldn't be able to stand up within 3 years and would have to be put to sleep. Wonderful idea to be put into my head. Wonderful. So yes, this has been messing with my mental state, and thinking about this is not great. And thinking about all the expenses that trying to solve this issue will take, and knowing that it will never work fully, he will never be fully alright, and I can only stabilize him at a somewhat functional place, but it's not good. The way his legs work is just horrible. Basically, he is built in a way that puts a lot of pressure on his front legs, and because he had another accident and a surgery 5 years ago where he lost a lot of weight and muscle, it has been putting more and more strain on those legs, and they have been dropping down and putting a lot of pressure on the tendons, and so now he's more prone to accidents and things like that. But then when he gets accidents and is needing to rest and recover, that means his physical well-being is going down and making him even more prone to accidents and more injuries and the legs worsening. So basically he's stuck in a bad cycle, and there is no way of getting back or it improving, and it's just the thing about how long can we keep him as pain-free as he can be. At least I can ride him. I have to ride him, and mostly in the form of trail rides and going into nature, so enjoy those clips for now. And so, back to the writing. What am I going to do now? The thing is, I want to finish the last 10 hours of this challenge until Saturday. Currently it's Monday, so that's 5 days and 10 hours of writing, and maybe 10,000 words that are remaining, which is a lot considering I am still stuck with the writing itself and probably won't happen. But why do I want to do this solidly and abruptly? Well, because my friend is arriving on Saturday and she will stay here for 2 weeks, and so I was hoping to be done with the book and not only fully focus on her, but take those 2 weeks as part of the rest process between draft 1 and draft 2. So then after she leaves, I would take another 2 or 3 weeks of break and then return to draft 2. And so if I don't manage now, then I will be forced to take 2 weeks of break anyway, then finish the book, and only then have to again take a month or more or break between the drafts. And that is just messing with me, and I don't want that to happen. So here we are, buckle up. I will try to put as much effort into this as I can, and then I guess I will just call it a day wherever I get by Friday. That seems as the most reasonable plan. The funny thing is, it has already been not a full month, but like 20 days since I have started this challenge, and I was like, at first I was hoping that I would get the 24 hours done in some reasonable amount of time, like maybe a week, and actually put a lot of writing time into the individual days. But no, here I am, writing for maximum 1.5 hours per day, and not even every single day, and so it's kind of defeating the purpose of being a challenge in the first place. So now I guess I am shifting the focus to seeing how much I can actually accomplish in 24 hours. Does that make sense? I hope so. Anyway, time to write. At this point, I cannot even believe I have reached hour 17, so I have 7 hours left, and this is basically 3/4 of it done. How the hell did we get here? Took so damn long, but here we are. So today is Thursday, so it's been a couple of days since the last update that has been on Monday, and a couple of things have happened since then. So firstly, I somehow managed to get out of the slump that was chapter 13 and getting started in this filling out of Act 2. And how did I manage this? I decided to reread a few scenes from previous chapters, specifically those that I liked, to get back into the mood and hype myself up. And suddenly that was enough to connect myself properly with what was going on. And I'm honestly kind of embarrassed I haven't thought of it before, and I haven't done it at the start. Maybe I should have reread more than chapter 12 where the things cut off and go previously to get into the headspace of the characters. But I got there eventually, so at least that. But that means I managed to finish chapter 13 and also with a little bit of an unexpected and sweet scene that wasn't in the outline, but I'm happy about that. And then on Tuesday I started chapter 14 before work and decided to actually continue working on it during my work. It wasn't as productive as I was hoping for, but by the end of my work shift I was at about 1,000 words, which is quite a lot. And I quite liked those scenes because it was basically an opportunity for me to dive into the world building a little more, because the male main character started getting lessons and learning about the world. So I could play around with mentioning bits and pieces of the lore. And I'm hoping that when people read this segment, they will get inspired to flip through the page where the map is and look around it alongside the character. It is just my luck that the moment I decide to start talking is the moment that the neighbor's dog starts barking like crazy and is distracting. So anyway, yesterday, Wednesday, I managed to finish chapter 14 and shift it to more of a political stuff and basically showing the main male character that there are people in this world that do not have magic and that they are living normally and are okay. So it's not like all the people there are monsters and scary, because that's currently his dilemma, that he thinks that because he's a dragon he's evil and everyone is evil, and this is obviously not the case. So the female main character tried to show this to him through introducing him to some of the political figures. The issue with this chapter is that it cuts off a little bit abruptly, as I didn't know how much to dive into it anymore. So it will probably need a new ending and be prolonged a little bit, but that's for another time. Today I want to get at least 3 or 4 hours of work finished and hopefully get done the segment 1, in which I have left the full of chapter 15 and about a scene from chapter 16, and that should put me at a good spot. Is it delusional thinking I can get all of this done in one day? Probably. Today I am home alone and I have no work and I only need to get some chores around the house done, so logically it's possible. But am I likely to actually do that? Not really. Also, I would have to switch to dictating because I'm starting to feel a strain on my wrist again and it hurts for absolutely no reason. Like today it just hurts even though I haven't done anything yet. So that's obviously not very encouraging, since once my wrist starts hurting, it hurts for weeks and I am basically unable to do anything then. So I would rather avoid that. Although if it decides to hurt, then there is nothing I can do to prevent it from doing that. Honestly, I'm really stressed about all of this because I have only 3 days left to finish all of these missing chapters and I am way too behind. So the plan for now is this. I have finished chapter 13 and 14, and so I have left 15 and a bit of 16 to get done with sequence 1. So that's the plan for today. And then I think that chapters 17 through 19 do not need to be touched that much. I might basically add in like descriptions of what is going on in the missing scenes, but I don't think I have the time to actually write in the missing scenes, and they are not that important here. Basically I need to just add in one important information, and that's the explanation of what is the festival, and the rest of stuff can be basically understood from the context. But then I need to really focus on chapters 20 and 21, because that is where the festival itself is, and so those are really important, and I cannot skip those because they have more of an effect on the rest of the story, and so understanding them and having them in is very important. So yes, the plan is to finish sequence 1 today, skip sequence 2, and then for the other 2 days focus heavily on sequence 3 with chapters 20 and 21 and the festival itself. And that way, even if I give it to some beta readers or someone for feedback, they can hopefully follow along and understand what is going on, because really the chapters 17 through 19 actually have some scenes in them that can be understood, but like 20 and 21 are empty and then jump completely to something else, and so that needs to be filled in. So yes, that is the plan for now, and it is probably time to actually get to it. But yes, the pulsing wrist is really making me even more anxious about all of this. Or maybe not. So a storm started, which would explain the wrist pain, but that also means I have a headache, my eyes hurt, my teeth hurt, and every joint in my body is screaming for help. I guess nothing for me until this weather passes and I stop feeling like I want to shrivel up and die. Of all the things I expected to be obstacles to my writing, the weather was not one of them. It's already 8 p.m, I am no longer home alone, and how much have I written? Nothing. At least I am not in pain anymore, so hopefully I can fit 2 or 3 hours into today. You can see how the number is going down, can't you? Hello. So it's 2 a.m. now, and I have hit hour 19, which is great. So like been writing for almost 2 hours today, which is exactly what I wanted. It was just dispersed in between short-term periods because I was losing attention all the time, but at least I got somewhere. So did I get done the chapter and half I wanted? No, but I did finish chapter 15 completely, and so now I have like half a scene left of chapter 16 that I wanted to get done today, but that can be done later. And actually, even if this one isn't done now, it actually makes sense, like what is going on in the next chapter from the get-go. So that's good. That's progress. Not exactly what I wanted, but like half of it. Great. Wonderful. And this chapter was quite interesting because it's like the people are going on a horse ride to decompress from all the stress that is going on, and they are meant to just go around and have fun. Plot twist, they find a dead body in the river, and the female main character is having a traumatic episode from seeing it. So that was interesting to write. And so then she is taken back home by her sister, and then the boys are having to drag the body to the nearest village and investigate like who it is and what happened. And they think it's bandits, but they are not sure. And so now they have to do a little body investigation. So that's fun. This is one of the chapters where initially when I was writing it 2 years ago, I did not have it in the outline, and this was exactly where I deviated from the outline. And previously I was thinking that it would be for nothing and that I was just going off script and it would have to get deleted and I'm just introducing stuff for nothing. But then the more I was writing, I realized that actually what I introduced in this chapter is plot relevant for the entire book. So now it gets to stay, which is great. And it's really fun chapter in a traumatic way because it starts so silly and cute and just let's have fun and goes so dark so fast. It's kind of the theme of this book, let's be honest. Everything goes so dark so fast, even when it starts out lighthearted. So yeah, that's the update for today. Well, today it's the middle of the night and I should have been sleeping, but here I am, rambling and writing. And actually, yes, I did have to do all of that in dictation, and that was actually, I think, a good thing because I got a lot and a lot of writing done in like very short amount of time that I wouldn't be able to when just typing. And I feel like my wrist has now calmed down, which is good, which means I can return to actual typing tomorrow if I need to. Because those scenes that are like in between scenes I have already written are better to be done by hand than by dictation. So I guess that is the update for tonight. And I have 5 hours left and basically 2 days. We shall see how that goes. Hopefully tomorrow will be a slow day at work because it's been raining and so probably not very many customers for ice cream. And I hopefully will be able to write during work or before it. So that should add more writing time. But I'm not sure I can... I mean, technically I should be able to hit 5 hours of writing in 2 days, but knowing me, it's a bit difficult. Okay. I have been rambling for quite a while and I should be getting to bed, so that's it and good night. Oh, and last thing, I was doing writing sprints today and I usually average about 400-ish words in like 25-30 minutes. And so this time there was a 30-minute sprint and I'm like, well, I didn't write that much. And then I look at the number and I have written 800 words. 800! How did this happen? I have absolutely zero idea. This is a new record, for sure, and I have written it down to remember it, because, wow. And so this just comes to show you the power of dictation and how fast things go when you are speaking instead of typing, because I am really slow writer and I more easily lose focus when I'm typing by hand, so... Slowly creeping toward hour 21, so 3 hours left, and oh my, it's such a fight today. I don't understand why, but at this point I just want to give up and leave it be completely. Like, I got into such a mood where I wanted to do anything else but to write, but I couldn't allow myself to do it, so instead I just sat there scrolling Instagram and wasting my time for no reason. Wonderful. Anyway. So I managed to get about 30 minutes of work done before I had to go to work. And I finished chapter 16 and the scene that needed to lead into it. So segment 1 is finally finished. And then I went to work and I managed to get another maybe 30 to 40 minutes of writing done. In these ones I got 500-ish, almost 600 words. And I started chapter 20, as I said, I skipped right to sequence 3. And the writing was going good. I don't know what it was about the iPad and sitting at work, but the descriptions there, like it had actual atmosphere, which is, I don't know where that came from, but I'm very happy about that. And like my boss said, I could finish work 1 hour early. And so I was basically racing against the clock to get as much writing done as I could before the hour hit, and I had to stand up and go clean up everything and close. So that was interesting. And then I got home, absolutely exhausted for no reason, even though today I only worked like 4 hours and there was nobody there because it was raining. So I had no real reason to be this tired. And yet here I am. And then the mood changed so much, like I don't want to write, I just want to give up, and like the thought of having 4 hours left was just too much for me to handle. But at around 10 p.m. I finally forced myself to sit down again and start writing, and somehow I managed to lock in for like 50 minutes straight and get 900 words out and finish chapter 20. Which was actually the goal for today. Like, I wanted to finish chapter 20 and be like, this is enough, and have like 2 hours left for tomorrow. Well, now it doesn't feel like enough anymore. Now it feels like leaving 3 hours for tomorrow is too much, because all my free time for tomorrow is evaporating really fast, and there will likely be none. So I should get as much writing done today as I can, and to just do maybe hour and a half tomorrow and finish it out before my friend arrives. And so just the exhaustion is hitting me, which is kind of funny because like I am now 3 hours away from the finish line. It's too late to give up. Like, this is too little. I need to finish it off. I guess this is what drives people toward watching like those 24-hour challenges where people write for the whole day, and seeing someone this exhausted and just struggling to push through. And I really don't understand why it is hitting me right now. Why? There is no real reason. Like, I can have it done if I really wanted to, so why am I so ready to give up? Why? There is one chapter, and maybe some stitching scenes. And at this point I am thinking if the chapter 21 is even necessary, and if I don't need to just pull it all into one chapter and leave it at 20 and let it be that. But anyway, I guess I just need to sit down and get at least a little bit of work done, because I don't know what is this. The weirdest thing is I did accomplish the goal I have set out for myself for today, and yet it doesn't feel like enough. It should be enough. Come on, let it be enough. Brain, let me go. Here I am, pushing through. So, 3 hours left. I can do it. I have to do it, no matter what. At this point I'm starting with the delusions that, oh, if I go to bed now, I will be able to wake up earlier in the morning tomorrow and get more work done. No, this is bullshit. This never works. I am incapable of waking up early no matter what, and if I set it up as my goal, I'm basically provoking my insomnia demon into not letting me fall asleep. So here we are. Tired, exhausted, sleep deprived, but unable to deal with any of that and needing to write. Hello, so it's now Saturday, and yesterday I managed to write about 500 words of the last chapter, and I ended up at about 2,500 words for the day, which is a lot for me, and yet I don't feel like I have done as much as I wanted. Like, there is no sense of accomplishment or closure, which is strange because I usually have it. And so today it's already 2 p.m. almost, and I need to go to work in 1 hour, and I wanted to spend the 2 hours in the morning working on this and finishing it, but everyone around is deciding that today is the day they dump tasks on me I did not sign up for, and so I'm wasting my time doing things that I'm not writing. But I need to get this done as fast as possible. What? Why? So yes, I have maybe 30 minutes of time before I need to get dressed and go to work, and then I need to see if I can manage to fit in the horse here somewhere, because he needs attention too, and then I guess I will no longer have any free time at all. Okay, time to use the little bits I still do have. As for what is going on in these chapters, it's basically a religious festival that is to the goddess of spring, and so there are a lot of like celebrations in the city and rituals that need to be performed, and it is all topped off with this big banquet or a ball where all of the important people will attend, and the main characters will basically have to socialize for the first time with everyone again. Well, not again. For Aurora it is again, because she hasn't been on the political scene for 15 years, and for Peter it's for the very first time, so he is very scared about having to meet everyone. And so that is what's going on. The chapter 20 was basically all the things that are going on in the city and the start of the festival. And then now this chapter is like gearing up toward the big political event. And honestly, as I'm writing it, I'm feeling like it might be just one chapter like that. It used to be very, very long last time, but this time I'm, I guess, forgetting stuff and not having time to flesh it out. So I guess it could function as one chapter, because this second one, I have no idea what to put into the rest of it, and currently it's like 1.5 page long. So yeah, there is that. And also, there has been a speed paint playing during this video of 2 characters dancing, and that is basically a scene from chapter either 22 or 23. So like it's part of this festival thing, but it's in one of the chapters that are already written and not what I am fully writing. But yeah, it should show you like what exactly is going on. And this brings me to the last video where I forgot to say that the speed paint playing there with the two dragons fighting is actually a direct scene from the final battle of the main character battling the antagonist, her sister, for who can rule the kingdom. So yes, hopefully that explains things, and I should make more attention to the fact of explaining what is actually going on with the art and how it relates to what is going on in my writing. I did it. It happened. I finished the book. It's done. And somehow, by some absolute miracle, I did it on the exact minute I hit the 24-hour mark. How? I couldn't do this even if I planned it. If I did, it 100% would not have paid off like this. But here we are, the book is finished and the challenge is finished all in one go. And my brain refuses to accept that that is reality. Like, it doesn't feel like the end whatsoever. None. No. So yes, this is absolutely surreal and I need to process this, but I guess I will not get a feeling of closure until I don't know when. It's just not a thing I get. So it was kind of the same when I finished my thesis. I was just so exhausted by the sheer amount of work that went into it, and by the time I sent it off, I was just glad to have it done and had absolutely no actual feelings of accomplishments about it. And of course I have more feelings of accomplishment about this, but it's still not hitting me as hard as I would have expected. So yeah, this is the final update, and I will do like finishing thoughts in a few days when I gather all the stats and all the reflections on this, but this is the last real writing. So what is the plan for now? Have a full 2-week break from writing completely. Nothing. I don't want to see another word for 2 weeks. And then I might pull up another project or go into some world building or something like that, but this book will need to rest for at least a month and a half before I touch it again, because as I said previously, I have too good memory, and so I am absolutely not sure how the editing process for me will go, because I have not done it ever before. And yes, this whole update is whispering because it's midnight and everyone in the house is asleep, and I don't want to draw attention to myself, but of course I have to make the update. So yes, here we are at the very end. Yay! It is time to make the final update, and I have come on with stats. So I will put on screen 2 graphs. The first one is about the writing time and progression, and the other one is about the word count. But I have other statistics that I have compiled, and so let's dive into them. So firstly, part 1. In this part I have finished the ending of the book, which is chapters 50 through epilogue, and that ended up being 6 chapters total, and ended up being 10,772 words. And all of this took 12 hours to complete and 14 days total. What is interesting is that Part 2 statistics somewhat mirror that, but differ in other ways. So first off, I have finished chapters 13 through 20, which is 8 chapters in total, and that is 10,243 words, and again over exactly 12 hours and 14 days. But the amount of chapters is interesting because in the second part I have done 2 more chapters, but the word count is slightly lower because the chapters are much shorter and kind of spread out. Meanwhile, in the ending part, I have written a chapter that was almost 5,000 words long. Meanwhile here, the longest one was maybe 1,000 words total of my newest additions, without counting what was already in there in the chapters. And so that totals 24 hours for the 24-hour challenge. The weird thing is, it took me 28 days to fully complete this challenge, and I have written 21,015 words and completed 14 chapters. And what are the findings of this? I don't write nearly as much as I would have guessed, because this 28 days averages less than 1 hour of writing per day, and that doesn't seem as challenging. But then you look at the actual output, and it's insane numbers. I don't think I have done this much in a month ever, and so this is interesting. And what is other thing is interesting is seeing exactly how much can be done in 24 hours. And so I think it was worth it to reframe this challenge from writing 24 hours in as short a span as possible and cramming it up into one thing to seeing how much can be done over accumulating 24 hours. And this means I would actually recommend other people to try this challenge in this specific iteration of tracking 24 hours and seeing how much you can get done without the stress of pushing yourself too far every day. The other interesting parts are that while I have finished the book in 2 ways, and I am of course very happy about that, and I was thinking I would enjoy my break. It's been a week and a half and I am itching to write. Like every night I sit down and I have this need to create, and then I have to remind myself that there is no more book to create, at least for now. So yes, this has been the 24-hour challenge and whatever, and thank you for everyone who stayed this long, because this video will be very long. So enjoy and see you in the next one.